What kind of princess turns down a £2 million diamond and leaves the world applauding? A shocking question. But the scandal we are discussing today is far messier. It involves a political superstar, a sudden, violent end, and a trusted staffer whose reaction was so bizarre. It flipped a national tragedy into a jaw-drop mystery. That man was Charlie Kirk's chief of staff, Mikey McCoy. The setting was a high-energy political event. The crowd was electric. Everything was routine. Until it wasn't. A sudden, sharp crack, a sound that could shatter glass, and 100 hearts shook the venue. The music stopped. The cheers died. The entire room froze in a split-second photograph of terror. People ducked, gasped, and clutched each other. Confusion, raw and paralyzing, ripped through the air. This was the moment of the tragedy. This was the moment chaos was supposed to take over. And it did for most. But watch the tape again. Watch the man standing just feet behind Charlie Kirk, Mikey McCoy. His movement in that crucial second was anything but chaos. It was chillingly deliberate. It was terrifyingly calm. He didn't flinch like a friend caught off guard. He didn't freeze like a staffer in shock. He moved with the precision of someone executing a known, critical step. In less than a second before the echoes of the shot had fully died down, before Charlie's body had even begun its tragic descent, Mikey was already in motion. His hand shot up. His phone went straight to his ear. Zero fumbling. Zero visible dialing. Zero unlocking. It was a fluid, professional motion. Like he was already connected. Like he was waiting for the cue to answer. Or maybe like he was waiting for the cue to call. The timing was the first sign that this was less a spontaneous moment and more a secret chapter in an ongoing drama. Mikey turned his back on the carnage. He turned his back on his friend. He turned his back on the scene of the crime. And he simply walked away. He strolled away. That's the word critics use, strolled, while others were screaming, ducking, or rushing toward Charlie. Mikey was calmly walking into the distance, his phone glued to his ear. He was still on the phone as he disappeared behind the tent. He was still on the phone when he reappeared moments later. He looked completely detached, completely insulated from the surrounding pandemonium. People expected primal panic. They expected loyalty. They expected instinct. Instead, they got a man who moved like a general in the field, following a strict, prearranged protocol. But what kind of protocol demands you abandon your principle the second the trigger is pulled? This was the explosive cold hook that flipped the narrative from tragic loss to unavoidable scandal. The video clip went viral instantly. It became the central piece of evidence in a global online courtroom. Thousands of people watched it. They screen recorded it. They slowed it to 0.25 times dollar speed. They zoomed in on his posture, his expression, the lack of hesitation. Every single replay only amplified the suspicion. Where was the shock? Where was the confusion? Where was the instinct to help the man he was sworn to protect? It was missing. It was completely, terrifyingly absent. The man tasked with guarding the king was the first one to walk away from the throne. That's how the narrative felt. That's what the optics screamed. The speed of his reaction was the most damning detail of all. Producers from The Charlie Kirk Show, attempting to defend him, later tried to argue that you can't dial and put your phone to an ear in 830 for seconds. They meant to defend him. But in doing so, they only highlighted the impossibility of a standard call being made in that time. The defense became the accusation. If he wasn't dialing, the call was either already active, or it was an immediate incoming ring at the precise moment of the sound. The universe has a strange sense of timing, but this felt less like coincidence and more like a cue. That's the forbidden thought that took hold of the internet's imagination. Then came Candace Owens. She was the one who refused to tiptoe. She was the one who refused to whisper. She was the one who gave the internet's suspicion a voice. She went on camera and said what everyone else was too scared to even think out loud. She demanded the rewatch. She demanded accountability. She threw down the challenge. Why did Mikey walk away before Charlie even fell? It was the question that acted as the pin on a ticking time bomb. Her words added weight, context, and a personal layer of betrayal to the footage. Because Candace wasn't a random commentator. She was an insider. She had been close to Charlie. She knew the players. When she questioned it, the noise stopped. The internet put down their memes and started digging. She openly called for Mikey's call logs from that exact, crucial moment. If everything was innocent, why the silence? Why the refusal to simply clear up the confusion? Why not show who was on the other end of that phone? The lack of an answer was deafening. It was a dagger smile to the official, slowly dissolving narrative. Candace's challenge became the flashpoint. Hashtags exploded. People clipped her segments. The conversation shifted from "this is a tragedy" to "hold on. Something here isn't adding up." This was the moment the scandalous decision to walk away became the central point of the entire story. What would you have done in her place? Accepted the official story or demanded the unedited truth? And then, the second body blow. The one that took the internet from suspicious to outright theorizing. The one that introduced the forbidden element. Just days after the shooting, Charlie's wife, Erica Kirk, made her first public appearance. This was the moment for heartbreak. The moment for tears. The moment for a eulogy of grief. Instead, she offered something completely different. She offered public praise. She offered warmth. She offered a subtle, disconcerting smile. She singled out one man from the entire organization. I want to thank my husband's chief of staff, the amazing Mikey McCoy, the amazing Mikey McCoy. 5 words. That's all it took to supercharge the rumors. The internet was already questioning Mikey's loyalty. Now, the victim's wife was praising his amazingness. The optics were horrific. It was a true jaw-drop moment playing out like a Netflix scene. Why single him out? Why with that affectionate tone? Why heap public praise on the very man whose suspicious reaction was being dissected frame by frame? Across every social media platform, it didn't make sense. It felt too cozy. It felt too aligned. Critics argued that grief can make people cling to anyone who was present during the trauma, that she was just leaning on a close friend. But the online detectives didn't buy it. They compared the warmth of her praise with the footage of Mikey's cold departure from the scene. They started connecting dots that many felt shouldn't be connected. The line between professional closeness and something else began to blur. This was the moment the gossip about an allegedly too close relationship between the wife and the chief of staff became an unavoidable part of the narrative. No public confirmation as of now. The perception, however, was enough to ignite a firestorm. The next phase involved the desperate attempts by TPUSA to protect Mikey McCoy. Their defense was frantic. It was a classic case of damage control gone wrong. They couldn't stick to a story. They claimed Mikey was stunned, not calm. They claimed he was running to escape a mass shooter, not abandoning Charlie. They claimed he was following specific protocol from Charlie to call Erica first. But then, the counterclaims emerged. Pastor Rob, Mikey's father, claimed Mikey was covered in blood when he called him a detail that contradicts the footage, showing a clean walkaway. Erica claimed Mikey called her first and sounded panicked, which contradicts the viral footage, showing him moving with complete self-possession. The fact that the story had multiple, shifting versions was the clearest sign that someone was trying to get ahead of the truth. When a narrative is clean, you tell it once. When it's not, you keep changing the details until something sticks. TPUSA hosts went on live streams not to address the inconsistencies, but to lionize Mikey. They called him brave, loyal, and heroic. They doubled down. They protected him fiercely. That shift from explanation to defense mode felt like the administration was circling the wagons. It felt less like clarity and more like a collective cover. And the internet noticed every single nervous flicker. This intense defense only fueled the scandal. Smart move or reckless gamble. To present 3 conflicting versions of the story, but the plot thickened further. The most profound reaction of all was the silence. The silence of Charlie Kirk's own parents. If anyone had the absolute moral authority to step forward, it was them. To set the record straight. To defend their son's wife. To praise the staffer who supposedly followed protocol. They did none of it. They chose complete, deafening, intentional silence. No media appearances. No tribute speeches. No public defense of Erica, no defense of Mikey. They skipped major memorial events. They avoided being photographed with the very people who were attempting to lead the public narrative. At first, it was assumed to be grief. They were shattered. They needed privacy. But as days turned into weeks, the silence morphed from sadness into suspicion. Why distance themselves? If they believed the official narrative, why not stand publicly beside Erica and Mikey? Their refusal to align with the story being crafted felt like a message in itself. It felt like a boundary. It felt like they wanted no part in the official postmortem. The internet began to theorize that their silence was a form of quiet protection, holding the truth privately, refusing to participate in what they couldn't agree with publicly. Their absence became louder than any statement they could have made. It was the final, devastating piece of the puzzle that tied everything together. The legacy of Charlie Kirk, the political firebrand, was now being defined by a secret sequence of events. The timing, the behavior, the strained relationships, the chilling silence. It all formed a picture that screams louder than any headline. Mikey walks away before Charlie falls. The wife publicly praises him with a smile. The organization rushes to defend him with shifting explanations. The rumors of betrayal begin to fly. Charlie's own parents refuse to stand behind the narrative. Individually, each detail could be dismissed as coincidence. But together, they form a pattern that feels synchronized, almost rehearsed. It's why people online won't let this go. Because if everything was as simple as a tragic, random attack, the reactions around it would have looked fundamentally different. The responses felt too controlled, too deliberate. The people who should have been closest to Charlie emotionally seemed the most distant from the story being told publicly. Right now, no one outside that inner circle truly knows what happened in those crucial, explosive seconds. Was it shock? Was it miscommunication? Was it loyalty? Was it scandal? Or maybe, just maybe, the truth is sitting in the one place no one is allowed to look. Mikey McCoy's phone. That one phone call. What he heard. What he said. Who was on the other end? That single, forbidden communication could answer every lingering question. It holds the key to the entire mystery. And until that piece of evidence is unsealed, until those phone logs are public, the gossip will not die down. The scandal will not fade. It will be replayed frame by frame, minute by minute, by an audience that knows that sometimes the simple, human truth is messier than any conspiracy theory. They know the truth always finds its way out.